Good afternoon. Back here with my buddy, Kenny.
Yes, sir.
Another day,
Another day at the
another day
office.
to share with the folks out there on the official call our love of this game and to share with them a little bit more knowledge about what our game is really all about.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
Yeah.
And the more we can share and educate, the better,
I like that.
because it will enlighten the fans as to their own personal knowledge of the game, and during the course of a fight, they'll be able to apply what they have learned and heard from us to make them better understand what's going on, depending upon if they're sitting ringside or sitting up in the Yucca seats.
Yeah. And the bottom line is the more you understand about the game, the more you can appreciate the game. The game
Yes.
becomes much more appreciative to you. So that's what we want to talk to you folks out there about today. Because this job that we do, that's what we want to talk about today. What is the job? What is the job of a professional boxing referee? And I can tell you that it's one of the most difficult of any sports officials because of the constant knowledge that every time we step through that ring, somebody's life, somebody's life is in our hands, and their livelihood too. But primarily, their life is in our hands.
Yes. Yes. It could be the difference between, you mentioned their future, but their career as well.
Yeah.
What's going to happen between this fight and the next fight, or if there's going to be a next fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is that about our sport also is that this is the only sport in which the sole objective is to knock your opponent unconscious.
Yeah.
No other sport is that the goal. The
Right.
goal is to literally knock your opponent unconscious.
Yes.
And because of these things, this knowledge, you and I know that this job is not a weekend job.
Right.
It's a job that requires ongoing training, reflection, practice, revisitations, the ability to make tough decisions, to take decisive action. It requires a commitment to the sport. The fighters, because without them, really, the sport and the fighters, there would be no need for us,
That's
right?
right. It doesn't
So,
exist.
That's what this day is going to be all about. We promised you that we were going to bring you into our mind and into the ring with us. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to tell you, share with you rather, what the job of a professional boxing referee is. So let's look a little deeper. Just what is the referee's job? Well, let me tell you. His job is to manage the bout, to manage the fight. So now, what does that entail?
Understanding the rules.
Whoa!
Understanding the rules. And knowing when to apply it to whatever situation that is taking place in the ring.
Okay. So when I ask most people, including referees, what is your job? The first thing they always tell me is safety of the fighter. And that's absolutely true. But safety of the fighter is simply an aspect of the
Yes.
job. The
Yes.
job is to manage the fight.
Yes.
Providing for one's safety, yes, that's important. But you've got to manage this job. And that entails a lot of things. So, Kenny, what are some of the objectives?
Well, I'll tell you, people don't know that we prepare ourselves um, uh, from our athletic ability to be in shape, to make sure that everything on the outside is correct before we get on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first appear um, on a fight assignment, let's say it's at the MGM or the Mandalay Bay, um, the first thing I do when I walk in is climb up and get in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain aspects of the job, our job, that we have to do before fighters, trainers, anybody even get in the ring.
Right.
And that is check the ring ropes.
Check the ropes.
I walk over, especially when it comes to checking the ring ropes, the bottom rope should always be looser than the ropes above it, for the sake of if a fighter gets hit and he goes down and he's near the ropes and the back of his head hit that bottom rope, we don't want it to have a whiplash effect. So we always make sure that that bottom rope is loose.
Mm-hmm.
So it will more sit that guy down as opposed to a whiplash.
Okay. And that's important. That's important.
Very important.
Yeah.
The other thing while we're in there is to check the canvas,
Mm-hmm.
the ring itself. Make sure that the padding underneath is tied together and there's no gaps
Mm-hmm.
where a fighter could lose his footing and or trip. We check all the corners and make sure that the padding in the corners are snug and firm and tight. One of the other things that we look at is knowing where the doctor is going to be sitting,
Mm-hmm.
where the commission is going to be sitting,
Mm-hmm.
where the 3 stools are going to be for where the judges are going to be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
When I climb out of the ring, I check with the ring doctor to make sure that the paramedics are there.
Uh-huh.
Because if the paramedics are not there,
Mm-hmm.
the fight doesn't start.
Right.
If the doctors aren't there, the fight doesn't start.
Right.
And also we check, and usually the doctors take care of this, that there is a path that the paramedics will choose to come to the ring if in any event that there's a injured fighter down and needs to be assisted out.
Mm-hmm. So this is just, and we've just got to the arena. We've just gotten to the arena.
That's right.
And this is what I talk about when I said the job is to manage the bout. Because the judges, the doctors, the paramedics, all those things are the resources
Yes.
that are there for the referee to utilize, but utilize in a proper way.
Yes.
You know. So we got all of that done. Now, for me, once I step out of that ring and get all that done,
Mm-hmm.
the next thing I want to do is I want to go and locate where the dressing rooms are,
Yes.
where the fighters are going to be.
Yes.
Okay.
And usually, Bert, and I didn't mention, after we've done all that I mentioned, we usually will have a pre-fight meeting with the executive director, and he will give out our assignments,
Mhm.
so that when we do go back to the dressing room,
Mhm.
we know whose dressing room we're going to,
Right.
so that we can do the pre-fight
Right.
instructions.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so once he does that, he gives us the bout sheet, and so now we know which fighters we are assigned to,
Yes.
and we can go in and meet with those fighters, meet with their camp, make sure that we provide the instructions to them. We check their equipment.
Yep.
Growing protector, mouthpiece. Do they have everything that they need? Find out who the chief second is.
Yep.
Okay. We do all of that stuff. And we're going to expand on this a lot more in another segment
Mhm.
what we actually do back there in that dressing room,
Yes.
because that's critical. But
Yes.
this, again, using your resources that you've been given, looking at all the equipment that you're responsible for, all of this is a part of
Yes.
the job of a professional boxing referee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So now we went out, we checked the ring,
Mhm.
we went in the back room, we talked to the folks. Now we've gotten out to the ring. So where do we go from here?
I will be in the ring once I know that they're taking their ring walk. I'm
Mhm.
going to be in the ring. I will have done a little pre-check, make sure that the judges are there, et cetera, prior
Mhm.
to them climbing through the ropes. The fighters will know what corner they're in. I'll make sure that they are in that corner.
Mhm.
I did not, well, inspectors will be there to
Ah.
assist me.
Okay, inspect. Now, what do they do?
Inspector's job, that they are commissioned by, they are inspectors commissioned by the commission.
Mm-hmm.
And their job starts when fighters first get to the dressing room, to watch them wrap their hands, to watch them glove up, to make sure that everything is on board.
Mm-hmm.
Also, those inspectors will escort the fighters to the rings with their camp.
All right.
And during the course of the fight, those inspectors will watch and make sure that the corners men are not doing anything illegal.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain cut solutions that they're supposed to use,
Mm-hmm.
that the inspector will check to make sure that they're using proper cut solutions. At the same time, during the fight, the inspectors are there to make sure that the corners ain't getting too carried away, screaming and yelling and slapping the ring mat or whatever the case may be. So they are there to assist us
Oh, okay.
and make our job a little easier.
Yeah.
If our job ain't tough enough.
True that. True that.
But that's what
Yeah.
an inspector's job.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I did mention they also handle at the end of the fight. The executive director will give the inspector a check for that particular fighter. He will take it back to the dressing room and give them their check, and they'll sign off on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the fighters, they've come to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
We keep them separated.
Yep.
Okay, because we don't want no problems.
Yep.
Especially if there's been a lot of
Friction
between the two fighters. Now,
yes.
you know, I believe when Tyson fought Lennox Lewis,
Yes.
we saw an example of that, right? Where they,
Yes, we did.
they because of the clash of personality before the fight, and they literally had a line of guys across the ring to keep them separated, because basically what they're saying, we don't want to fight before the fight.
Exactly. We don't want to spoil what's supposed to happen during the fight,
Right.
before the fight.
Right.
And there was another one, Oscar De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas. They put a piece of plastic between the both of them so that they couldn't do anything that they wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah. Okay. And so now that they're in the ring, we've done that. We do a final check.
Yep.
Mouthpiece. You got your mouthpiece. You got your abdominal protector. There's no grease or too much grease on you. No earrings or other pieces of jewelry on them. Yeah.
We make sure that their laces are taped up so that they don't come loose during the fight.
Yeah. So now that we've done all of that, we go through. Hopefully, we have a beautiful fight. We don't have a whole lot of issues during the fight, but if we do, we're going to talk about that in another episode.
Yeah.
So now we come to the end of the bout. At the end of the bout, for me, I want to be very careful and watch the fighters and their camp personnel, especially if it's been particularly competitive fight.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to make sure that I keep them separated again. Okay. That's my job as a referee. Okay. With the assistance of course, the inspectors. Okay.
Yeah.
And also to assist the announcer. Okay. In announcing the fight. Okay. Raise the hand, the winner's hand.
Yep.
I go over once the announcer has announced who the winner is going to be. Go over, grab that fighter, bring him to the center, raise his hand. Now, today, what a lot of them are doing is they'll have both fighters center ring, they'll wait and announce who the winner is, and then you raise his hand.
Yeah.
Personally, I always wait. I stay in my corner until such time as that winner is announced, and then I go out, grab that person, and bring it up, so that there's no predetermination in my mind of who it is. I don't want to give anybody an indication that I know that. Okay, so that's what I do. Either way, it's fine. Either way, it's fine. But that's how I do it.
Yeah.
And I also want to be very careful when they announce the winner, because if it's not who the camps think it should have been, we can have some friction there too.
Yes.
So I want to make certain that I'm there to ensure that doesn't become a problem. In other words, what I'm saying is, as a referee, your responsibility starts way before that fight, and it doesn't end until both fighters have exited the ring. That's when your responsibility terminates.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that we didn't talk about that is the referee's responsibility is, you touched on it a little bit, Kenny, when you said you got to know the rules.
Right.
And the reason why you have to know the rules is because the rules dictate the mechanics that you utilize to bring about compliance to that rule.
Yes.
And we're going to flesh that out a lot more in future episodes.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So that is our discussion about what is the job of a professional boxing referee. Now you understand much better what it is that little man out there in the middle of that ring, what's he doing out there? What's his job? Now you have a better idea of what his responsibilities are.
Exactly.